maybe Xinxin, you can start with your questions. Do you like to share screen and just go over your questions one by one?
Sure. Okay, let me just pull up the email.
And okay. While you're doing that, I'm going to try to contact Shaq, who has other questions.
Okay, I think I'm actually in the new version of IE right now, but okay, yeah, so mainly I've just been trying to add like a sound effect, custom sound effect feature, and I'm trying to figure out how to save sound effects to the database. Um, yeah, that's basically it. So I think I was mainly wondering about how like images are uploaded to the database, like when the user creates a custom like a custom item and adds it, like how that's saved.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So is this can you go to the area where you like the front end code where we actually like upload custom images?
Yeah. Okay.
So
Fine.
the front end part of our upload custom image, what it does is it just contacts this backend hook that uses S3. So S3 is like the file storage service that AWS offers. And basically what it does is it connects to this, it gets an identification, it like provides an identification and also provides the file. And then this file basically just gets uploaded to S3. And what's beautiful about S3 is that it actually can store like any kind of file. So it can be an audio file, video file. We were doing images. So making a version of this that applies specifically to audio files wouldn't be too difficult. Now, if I remember correctly, the backend had a hook specifically for had a hook specifically for custom images, but it wouldn't be too difficult to basically change it to be for audio. Like it would be the exact same code, but just a couple lines changed, just to change where it saves the files to and where it pulls them from. So let me see. Right, when we're so here, right, you can see you're creating the object URL, just getting the name, getting some information about it, and then just upload that image to, and I believe the .upload image function just contacts the backend code, which then uploads it directly to S3. And so in order to do this for an audio file, you basically just need like the actual data of the image or the audio file, and then the create object URL, I believe, is just basically getting information about the object and creating like an accessible URL which you can use to then access it later. And so if we want to, I'm just pulling up the backend repository.
Is it possible, Lucian, to put an example of the code or put a specific example?
About how,
Both
about what?
end and the back end?
Right, well, like, if you're working in the front end, you don't necessarily need to alter the back end at all. I'm just trying to see if it's necessary to change the back end in order for this to be possible.
So if we don't have to change the backend, the process for adding like audio would be pretty similar to just this
Yeah,
like
it would be
adding an
basically the
image.
same.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see.
Lucian, I think Xinxin has some interest in data analysis, and I remember you saying you also had some interest in data analysis. It'd be great if you could show Xinxin some of the back-end database code that addresses this front-end request.
Right, yeah, I'm looking for it. I'm trying to see where it was. It might have been in projects. Yes. All right.
Can you share your screen, Lucian, so we can see how you're maneuvering around the back-end code?
Yeah, sure. Right, so this is just in the project service because I know that there was some elements that we had to upload to S3 for that. And I'm just looking here. This is the upload function. And now what's nice is all you need to provide to the backend for something like this is like the username of the user. In this case, we used a project number because we were uploading a project like image file. And right, we have like the identity, which is like the user's identity number, and then also the file name of the file that they wanted to store. And you see here, it's like kind of hard coded in that it's going to be stored in the projects directory. So if we wanted to make a version that applies specifically to like images or like custom audio or really anything, all we need to do is change this keyword so that now it's storing like under a certain user, it might be all of their audio. And so this, instead of being projects, it would be the audio directory. And then, you know, you can have like, probably don't need a project number, probably can just be fine with an identity and a file name. Even just a file name, honestly, because we're just storing all of these for a certain user. And now the reason we have the identity is for helping people if they upload like duplicate named things, but depending on how we want our backend to work, if we want it to override duplicates or if we want it to like preserve them, that can just be taken into consideration of the developer. So this like block of code is exactly the kind of thing that we would need for audio. It would be the exact same code, except probably just a little bit about the like key for the object would be different. And now the parameters are the same because we just need to upload it to our S3 bucket, which is where we store everything. And then this generates the URL for it as well so that you can access it if you want. But then there's another function here which, given a key, given the object, it returns a URL which then you can access to as any URL, you know, which contains a static resource to just like play it if you want to like play audio or display something. That's exactly how you would do it. And so on the front end, right, accessing is the exact same. You just provide whatever information, and the only thing is there has to be some new backend code put into place, which is basically like these exact functions, but just with the path changed a little bit so that we have it being stored as an audio file and not as a project.
Got it. Xinxin, do you know where this code is in the back end? And the second question is, do you have access to the back end? Do we need to give you, I know Shaq asked for access to the back end.
Yeah, I think I do have access.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So you can get to this code, you see where,
Yes.
you see where,
Yeah. So
And also, John, I believe you have the credentials to give access to anyone
okay.
because you have the support account, and like I, for example, can't log on to the support account because anytime I log on, I have to do like a confirmation code via email, and that's like really
Yeah.
just inconvenient.
Right, right.
So if you just log on, then everything would happen on your end, and then you can just add people.
Okay.
And like all you have to do when you add people is just go to the repository, right? Like just anywhere in the repository, and then when you're on like the admin account, there's going to be another little box at the top that just says collaborators, and then you can add people from there and view collaborators and view who has access to it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. Xinxin, next question. Lucian, thank you. That sounded clear to me. I mean,
yeah, sorry. So could I just clarify? So
Sure.
we basically just do a similar thing in the front end to the images. So, and then in the back end, we also copy like that code that you showed and just change the like directory so that's not projects.
Right. And so,
switches.
but the thing is, if you're making backend code, you need to do a couple other things to make sure that it's like actually usable. So you can see like all of the backend modules are stored in like separate areas, and you know, if maybe it makes sense for, let's see. I'm trying to figure out where it makes the most sense for this to be in.
hi, Shaq.
Hi. Sorry, I didn't realize
been
the
quite
time
great.
difference was that big.
We're just going through Xinxin's questions first.
Right, so this actually is a really good example. So if you go into the asset service, BIY asset uploading, this is where we do all of our like custom assets, i.e. images. And so right here, we have like these function descriptions which tell you what these functions are doing. Basically, this one's for uploading to S3, right? You can see basically the same code, get the key, create parameters, get the URL to be able to, it's like a put URL, right? So you send a put request to the URL that gets returned to it. And then it allows you to upload something, and then this is for getting it. And then you get the URL that you can just send a GET request to, and then get something. You can delete something from S3. And now if we want, let's see what this one does. So this one, right, uploads to assets. Honestly, if you want, and this is just like a design choice, if you want to store audio files under assets, I think personally that would be totally valid. Because to me they seem like an asset, but it's just like a semantic like debate at that point. So you could probably use this backend hook anyways. So you could just access this URL or this webhook specifically, and just send in the certain file names for uploading audio files. And now for this one, you can see it has a random value put into it. That's so that you don't get overlaps. So even if you upload the same file with the same name twice, they will be stored as two different random values. And then they will also have, I believe, their like this whole key gets stored in the database under the user as well. And that's how we like actually retrieve them, right? Because like otherwise, how would we know that this, like what this random value is? So all of this gets stored in the database, which then you can get from the database to retrieve the object from S3. So you could probably just use this and just make sure that, you know, you're uploading the audio file, and it should work without any changes to the backend, I believe. So all you need to do is access this endpoint specifically, and the endpoints are all documented probably here or I know we have all of them listed somewhere. If it's not here, then it's listed yes.
Alright,
Gotcha. So this
Oh.
is what it is. And then also, if you guys have access to serverless, which I mean you really should have access to, because this is like this is where all of our backend is. And so, oh, actually, I'm not sure. Yes. So here, right, this is like where all of our backend basically is stored, right? You can see like where things are green, they're live. These ones are ones that like are just they were just like interim pieces that were just whenever we had like different branches, we have like an auto deployment service. So you don't really have to worry about that, but you do have to worry about the QA and dev stages. I believe QA is what we're using for everything right now. And so if we go to the asset service, let's see. Oops. And we can see all of the API endpoints here. So right, this one allows you to upload something to S3, right? This one allows you to get from S3. This one allows you to delete. So you can just use these URLs. And as long as you're sending the requests to them and using that same exact basically code from the image one, because there's like a little bit of like dancing you have to do around it where you like send a request to this and then it gives you a URL in return and then you send a different request to the URL that it returns, which is all in that front end code. You should be okay. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, kind of. Sorry, I don't really know a lot about this, but can you explain like what exactly an endpoint is?
Yeah, so an endpoint is, right, so in web development, there's two like stages, right? There's front end and back end. The way that you connect the front end and back end is through endpoints. So the back end has these kinds of URLs that the front end sends requests to. And that is how you get the front end to run code that is stored in the back end, because otherwise they're completely separate. So this basically says, I want the back end to run this code and do something. And so endpoints are just how we connect the two together.
Great. Shaq, Pablo, any questions? That was a good question. Okay.
Is there any way of setting up signing up? Is there like settings for that?
Setting up what?
Because we need to send an email to confirm the sign up.
Ah, yes.
Shaq is working on password recovery.
Really? Finally.
Yeah.
Right, so I actually had so much code that was for that exact purpose. Honestly, I think I had all of the code for it at some point. So in one of these branches, unless it got stale. That's unfortunate. Well, I'm not totally sure where that code lives now, but at one point I was doing exactly what you were doing, and I set up like the whole password recovery and confirmation process. So somewhere here, and it's probably documented in the documentation somewhere in one of those files that I made for documentation about where this password recovery stuff all lives. But if you want to like look into it, I used, I believe, the AWS has like a like secure sign-on like provider.
Yeah, I looked into that. Amplify.
Right, yeah, that's what it was, Amplify.
Amplify has like a email like, password recovery system like, by itself. We could just use that, but we need to do something about collecting the email. I found a branch called confirm email on the client on the front end repository. I don't know if.
And so your question is what exactly?
So how do I get the email confirmation to work? I just found this. Might have to look into it, but basically, how do I get the how do I? So currently signing up, if there's an email parameter like hidden in the code, but it's commented out.
Right.
But if I uncomment that, it doesn't it doesn't send an email to confirm. I can call resend email, but and then it sends it, but the user account is already created. Is there a way to prevent the user account from being created unless the code in the email is provided?
Yes, I know there is a way to do that. I can't remember exactly what it was because it was like 2 years ago, but I know that there's a way to, and we had this on some of our accounts, is where the account was created, but it wasn't like active yet. So you could like create an account and it would like temporarily create one and it would store it, but it would be flagged as an inactive account and you could only use the account if it was active. And it would be activated by, applying that verification link. And I believe that Michael was probably the one that was doing more of that because that was the Amplify on front end. And I was doing the back end verification. And also we had the issue of like whether or not we wanted to like take people's emails or not. But if that's all resolved, then it should be a pretty simple process. I mean, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it should be a pretty simple process to just like allow the verification of an account where it then becomes active. Even if it was like created as an unactive account, it can be turned into an active one, which can then be logged into. Because I don't think you're able to log into inactive accounts.
Can we store the email on the client until the correct code is entered? I don't know if confirm sign up returns a value or not.
I don't think you can store it indefinitely because it's possible that they could close their browser and then reopen their browser after confirming the email.
I think it sends you a code, so you have to like enter the code.
Oh, I
So
see.
add a field underneath.
Okay, then yeah, it's possible then. Unless it's possible for them to close the browser and then reopen the browser and then input the code. Because if that's possible, then you lose your cache, right?
Yeah, I mean cookies are a thing, but I don't know if we need like consent for that as well, which is just more
I think
complicated.
you would need consent for that. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So I still don't know how to. Is there a setting to get it to send you an email, like do the confirmation thing, or do you just have to prevent the sign up like by yourself?
I think what I would do is I would look at the code for resending the email and see maybe what's different between that and our original code that's making it so that when you create an account, it doesn't send an email. Because it could be that, there's just some small difference. There's maybe just some function not being called or something that is actually sending it actively. And then if that's not the case, I mean, I'm sure you don't have to manually like prevent them from making an account, and you can like look up however people do amplify authentication, like what the standard passageway is, right? Because many people have done this before, and so all you need to do is kind of take inspiration from how they do it with this same framework.
The thing is, the resend email and the sign up functions are directly from Amplify, so I don't think I see the source for that.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not totally sure. That would be a good question for Michael, though. Or also for Google as well.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Xinxin, more questions? Shaq, with respect to access, Lucian explained how I can get you access. So let's deal with that after this meeting.
All right.
Okay. Lucian, Xinxin, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I don't think I have any other questions. My questions were mostly just about like how to upload and retrieve images. So yeah, I think Lucian answered them all.
And Xinxin, do you have access to that serverless?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't think I have access to that. I just have access to the backend code.
Right. So just
Yeah.
ask John for the credentials for that, because we have one account, which is the support at Build It Yourself. I mean, I can pull the credentials off of my like browser right now if you want. John, is that all right? Or
Absolutely all right. And then I'll get a code that I can give you, and then we can get both Shaq and Xinxin out
sure.
right now. Thank you, Lucian.
Mhm. All right. This is the username, and then this is the password.
Password robot sushi one, I suspect.
Mhm.
Capital R, capital.
So yeah, if you log into serverless.com, which is here.
Oh, we're not seeing your screen.
I sent it into the chat. If you log on to serverless.com with that credentials, it'll give you access to all of our backend. Please do not destroy the backend.
I remember Steve Dow said we need to back up backend, but you said it was automatically backed up.
Right, we have everything backed up like database wise, yeah.
But not the backend code is not backed up.
Well, right, I guess it is backed up on GitHub.
Yeah.
So like all of our source code is there and protected,
Okay.
unless GitHub goes bankrupt, which I don't really see happening.
Okay. All right. So Xinxin and Shaq, can you confirm now that you have access?
Hold on.
Let me just check.
And Xinxin, I assume that Lucian has answered all of your questions.
It's saying no deployed apps.
No deployed app. Lucian, you're muted.
Do you have, wait, so could you share your screen?
Yeah, hold on. Share my screen. Is it? This one. Right. Just says no deployed apps.
Right, so you're on your personal account.
Is there another one? There's no other one.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is just a different account.
Do I have access to it?
Oh no, you're not right. So sign in with the username and password that I provided. Otherwise, this like has no relation to the actual account at all.
Yeah, no, I thought I was doing something wrong. Save that. All right, yeah. It's 404. Hold on. why? Oh. What? Oh, never mind. Forgot to switch organizations. There we go. I have access.
Okay, good. Vincent? Xinxin, can you verify that you have access while we have Lucian?
Yeah, I was able to get it.
Great. Okay, so Xinxin, I assume all your questions Lucian has answered?
Yeah, I think so.
Great. And we have a recording of this if you want to review it. And,
Yeah, that would be.
and Shaq, last chance to ask Lucian some questions.
I think that should be fine.
Great. Lucian, I thank you. Lunch soon, as soon as the spring weather comes. Let's meet at the taco place.
Sounds great.
All right. Okay, Lucian.
Mm-hmm.
Much
Have a good day.
appreciated.
Thank you.
I know you're going to be in Boston this summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, you'll hear from me soon.
Sounds good.
Great. Bye, Lucian. Thank you.
Yep, no worries.
Hi, Lucian. Thank
See
you.
y'all.
Okay. Hello, and Shaq and Vincent. I don't know. I presume that was useful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Pablo, is there? We really need to wait for Ethan and Michael to get you the next assignment. But one possibility is to work on getting the likes to stick. Last time we used the likes function, we had to exit and come back in just like we did with the avatars. So we probably have a similar problem for likes as we did for the avatar.
There's also a few other problems. I've posted them in the they're in the bugs channel, but if you look at my profile, you'll see.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you, Shaq. I know you've been logging bugs as you find them. That's much appreciated. Great. That's important. We all do that. As soon as we see a bug, we document it for the whole team.
I can work on the thumbs up bug.
Yeah. Okay. The likes, thumbs up button. Yep. Good. And we have some really interesting things on the wish list, which I'm hoping you guys might like to work on this summer. One of them is we want to make it much easier for people to upload files. So we'd like to do something like they do in YouTube or many other applications where you just drag and drop a file from your local folder into an area that right now you have to specify the file name and so forth.
I think HTML allows you to just drag the file onto the browse button.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Great. Well, if we can find a way to integrate that into the application so that it's seamless within the application, that'd be great. But the bottom line here is however we can make it really quick, easy, and intuitive to upload files. Upload images, upload files, sound effects, everything. Right now, it just takes too long to create a planet. We got to figure out ways to make it much quicker. And we probably should use YouTube or TikTok as an example. How do they do it? How do they minimize the number of clicks? How do they make it absolutely intuitive? It's just obvious what you have to do. Make sense? I think over the summer, I'd like to make our goal, how can we cut in half the time it takes to create a planet, or dramatically reduce the time. Okay, so unless there are any other questions, we'll adjourn. I'm gonna record this. I'm gonna stop recording